We're going to now ask our Senate Republican leader, John McKinney, to address Town Leaders Day.
Thank you very much. And, obviously you have, if you've been listening to our debate over the budget, and you might hear briefly today, we have two extraordinarily different visions. The vision presented by Governor Malloy and passed by the majority in our legislature was one which spends more money and raises taxes, the largest tax increase in the history of our state. Governor Malloy's budget increases spending in each of the 2 years of the budget. It's an almost $1 billion increase in spending over 2 years. Yes, it does not cut municipal aid, but it does nothing to give mandate relief. The Republicans offered a very different alternative. We did not cut aid to towns and cities because we know that cutting aid to towns and cities results in a tax increase. It's just forcing you to raise taxes instead of us raising taxes. But we don't think people can sustain tax increases in this economy. So we made very different choices and very difficult cuts. I would say to you that it's not over yet. The governor's budget, balanced as it was, still has a $2 billion hole in it. We don't know if the concession package is going to be ratified. Moreover, I will say to you that as much as $600 million in the concession package will not be realized. Briefly, the governor expects to save $180 million in suggestions from state employees. The governor relies on $90 million from suggestions from a health care cost containment committee. He relies on $75 million in better utilization of technology, and he relies on $205 million in a value-based health care plan. Now, Republicans offered value-based health care in 2008, so I know a little something about it. It is one of the better ways to reduce health care costs long-term. You prevent bad outcomes. People are healthier. They use the system less. You cannot save money in the first 2 years. It works on a premise of people don't go see a primary care physician to have a physical every year. Thousands don't. They're going to have to go do it. That's not going to save you money in the first year. It's actually going to cost you more, but it's going to benefit you in the long run. So you're not out of this fight yet. There's $400 million left to balance the budget, and there's maybe $600 million or more that will not be achieved from the concession package. But I want to talk to you about something else in terms of the different vision. The governor talked about, and Senator Williams talked about, giving you relief. One of the ways they did that was to raise taxes and to say that part of it is going to be left with the municipalities. But, there are not a lot of hotels in small towns. And some of the tax increases that they did are going to hurt the small mom-and-pop businesses in your small towns. Raising the sales tax to 6.35% doesn't just hurt people. It also hurts businesses. 40 to 50% of the sales tax is paid business-to-business transaction. So I want to paint you a different vision. Unemployment is at 9.1%. Yardney Technologies left Pawcatuck, Connecticut to go to East Greenwich, Rhode Island. And they're taking hundreds of jobs with them. How is that relief for a small town like Pawcatuck? Another company is leaving Waterbury, and they're moving to Armonk, New York. How is that relief for Waterbury and the small towns around Waterbury where those employees live? Pfizer's moving 1,100 research jobs from Connecticut to Cambridge, Massachusetts. How is that relief for those small towns where those people live? That's the bigger economic question we have here. Businesses are leaving the state of Connecticut in droves, and that's going to further burden the local property taxpayers in your small towns. And we need to reverse that trend. You can't reverse that trend when you have the largest tax increase in your state's history. You can't reverse that trend when you're the first state in the country to pass mandated paid sick leave. You can't reverse that trend when you're on the forefront of about to pass a captive audience bill, which would say, for example, that United Technologies could not have a meeting of their vice presidents to talk about what they should do about the Joint Strike Fighter contract. These types of things make Connecticut look and make Connecticut unbusiness friendly. Senator Williams quoted Texas and some of the bad cuts that are there. Texas is ranked by everyone as the #1 state to do business in. We're ranked somewhere between 45th and 50th. The governor bristles at the suggestion of Andrew Cuomo. They like to attack Chris Christie because he's a Republican. Well, Andrew Cuomo is a good, proud, liberal Democrat. And he's able to balance a budget in New York that's just as ugly as ours in Connecticut without tax increases. He's able to work in a bipartisan fashion with Republicans and Democrats. This is my 13th year here, and it's the first time in 13 years there's been not one Republican idea in any of the budget or budget implementer bills. Completely shut out of the process. So for all of you small towns that are represented by a Republican state representative or a Republican state senator, you're shut out. In fact, on the Appropriations Committee, Senator Kane, who's here, offered an amendment to protect you from this mandate. And it passed. But guess what? It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So we have two very different visions. Our vision is not to give you relief by raising taxes in your communities. Our vision is to free you from the burdens of unfunded mandates. There was not one single unfunded mandate proposal in Governor Malloy's budget. That's a fact. And we will not pass mandate relief in this legislature. So, it's one thing to keep your budgets whole in terms of our state funding. Republicans and Democrats agree on that. But the consequences of the tax increases, the consequences of things like paid sick leave, the consequences of unemployment at 9.1% are much worse for your small towns and everyone in the state of Connecticut. So two very different versions. It is sad to me, quite frankly, as the Republican leader, that we have gone down a much more partisan road than I ever envisioned us going into in Connecticut. I did not anticipate having 100% agreement with Governor Malloy any more than, quite frankly, we don't have 100% agreement within our own Republican Party from time to time. But I expected much more bipartisan cooperation. I expected much more of a willingness to actually cut spending within the state of Connecticut, which we haven't done. I expected much more of an understanding that tax increases, to the extent that we're doing tax increases, is too much of a burden on our people, on our towns, and on our economy. So I think you've got a lot more work to do. And I understand, who's in the majority around here, and I understand who the governor is. But at some point, you need to continue to fight the fight about what's happening to your small towns. This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example that the mandate on the troopers, that the state should not be imposing. It's not billions of dollars. It's not fair to small towns. And certainly, this is something that we should be able to work on as Republicans and Democrats to stop. Thank you for your time.